Hello everyone, and welcome to our special series on behalf of CopServe and Copperbelt Energy. Today, I'll be having a special guest from Copperbelt Energy who's going to tell me a little bit about her role, as well as how her portfolio at Copperbelt Energy relates to investor relations for all the various shareholders in the company. So stay tuned for this conversation. Welcome back. As I'd indicated, I have somebody from Copperbelt Energy, and her name is Verona. Verona, welcome to the Financial Insight Show.
Thank you, Mwelwa, and thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure to finally now get to host you on our show. But before we get into it, we know you've done several interviews before on other platforms. It'd be nice for our viewers to get to know who you are and what your role is at Copperbelt Energy.
All right, thank you. So, as you've already introduced me, I'm Verona, and I head the Corporate Communications and Investor Relations team at Copperbelt Energy Corporation. And basically, we're responsible for all the stakeholder engagement and stakeholder management under which investor relationship falls as well.
Now, for many of our viewers who don't know or already know, Copperbelt Energy has been a cornerstone in Zambia's energy infrastructure and investment landscape. Can you give our viewers a brief overview of the company as a listed entity, and why dividends are part of the strategy, overall investment strategy, but also why dividend payments to shareholders are such a critical part in your commitment to investors?
Okay. So Copperbelt Energy is an indigenous institution. We've been in existence for over 70 years, since pre-independence. We're an integrated utility, which basically means that we operate across the electricity value chain. So from generation to supply, distribution, and transmission of power to our customers, who predominantly are mining customers. We have presence in both Zambia and the DRC, but of course we operate regionally. So we do have quite a wealth of history and a wealth of experience within the electricity sector. We were listed on the Lusaka Securities Exchange in 2008, one of the first utilities to be listed on the stock exchange. And so, we've basically experienced an entire evolution, entire growth story in the energy sector, as well as on the Lusaka Securities and Exchange. Not only have we evolved as an entity, but also we've evolved in terms of how we approach the creation of value for our partners. And of course, our shareholders are part of the shareholders, rather, our shareholders are part of the stakeholders for which we focus on creating shared value. So it's very important for us that we pay out dividends to our shareholders, because it's a policy and a philosophy that we live by as an entity.
Now, that's very, very interesting. Now, Financial Insight understands that there's a significant volume of unclaimed dividends across the market, CEC and many other listed companies included. From CEC's perspective, what do you think contributes to shareholders becoming disconnected from their investments, and what responsibility does CEC take in bridging the gap?
Okay, so I think for as long as we can think, we always have shares being positioned as a long-term investment. And I think sometimes when people buy these long-term investments, they think I can buy it and forget about it. But I think shareholders do have a responsibility. In as much as you're buying your shares, I think you just need to have more of an interest. In as much as it's a long-term investment, it's not, shares are not savings instruments that you buy and forget about. But shareholders do have a roles such as ensuring their records are up to date. They have a responsibility as well just to track your dividend payments. If you miss a dividend payment, it's within your rights to just check, through your broker, has the dividend been declared, getting the support of brokers, whether you want to trade, whether you want to buy more shares. And so from a CEC perspective, what we've been doing over time is running engagements on our social media platforms, on radio, through our partners CorpServe, just to get our shareholders to ensure that their records are up to date specifically so that it supports our process of dividend payments, because if we don't have your right bank account details, then we're not able to, you wouldn't receive your dividend. Not that we're not able to pay it, but you won't receive your dividend payment. Just even in terms of information about CEC, how we're progressing, what we're doing with our investments, such information that investors and shareholders are interested in, just by virtue of us having our shareholders have current records. So if it's your number, we can send you an SMS, let you know this dividend payment has gone out. When we have our reporting, our mid-year, our full-year reporting, and now we do send our annual reports electronically, then it then means that we're able to send you these annual reports via your email. You can have access to those digital annual reports, look at how the company is performing. So it's a whole range of these are some of the responsibilities of shareholders and why it's so important that they update their records. But also from our end, we're making all these various efforts to make sure that we engage using the various contact details that we have for our shareholders.
Right. Now, that's obviously very interesting. And maybe I'll just pivot towards like what your relationship is like, with CorpServe and how important that is in enabling everything you've just talked about.
I mean, it's a very important relationship. As our transfer secretaries, they obviously support with the management of our database, making sure our shareholders' details are up to date, supporting them as well where we have queries. Of course, as an investor relations team, we're also very open to supporting our shareholders. If they've got any inquiries, they're very free to come through us as well. But we obviously partner with our transfer secretaries because in essence, they manage our database, the records on our database. So we do have a very strong relationship with them, one that's very important, just to make sure we're able to communicate with our shareholders. And likewise, if there are any queries from our shareholders, they can either come directly to us, which we then pass on to them, or they can engage with our transfer secretary, and then they do let us know what sort of concerns are there, but more importantly, just to make sure that our shareholders are satisfied with the service. They are definitely receiving their dividends because that is what we actually place value on. They've made an investment in our business, and they need to get their return on investment at the end of the day. So that is basically how important the relationship is between ourselves and CorpServe.
Right. Now, if you had to speak to CEC shareholders directly, especially those that may not realize they have dividends waiting for them and don't know, how would you go about? How would they go about claiming those dividends?
Well, I think firstly it's to establish, some of our shareholders are working through brokers, others listed directly on the securities exchange. So I think it's mostly what we're calling upon them to do is let's establish how did you buy your shares within CEC, firstly, and then secondly, we're really just encouraging them to get in touch with our transfer secretaries, I beg your pardon, getting in touch with our transfer secretaries, or they can get in touch with the investor relations team at CEC and just ensure that their records are updated, because I think it's so important that we have current information on our shareholders just to make the engagement with them smoother and more efficient.
Right. Now, on a final note, what assurance can you give shareholders that the process of claiming what is rightfully theirs is straightforward and supported by CEC?
Well, it's definitely very straightforward. I mean, first of all, there's a human engagement in the process, and I know people value the human engagement, especially when you're dealing with elements of or issues of money and their dividends. So there's definitely a human element. We have a team that's ready to support. The process is very efficient. We do have the option, of course, of direct engagement, but we've also got the CorpServe shareholder app and link where shareholders can update their records, they can track their dividend payments. So it's an ecosystem that is very supportive and very efficient. And if there are any dividends that haven't been claimed or received, they will definitely be receiving those. And we're quite eager as well to ensure that they receive those dividends that they haven't yet received on our end. And that is why we have been engaging in these various processes, engaging in this communication, so that we ensure that all our shareholders have received dividends that we've declared.
Right. Maybe just for information's sake, we know that CEC does host shareholders and stakeholders at things like the annual general meeting, etc. Are those also avenues where, if they wanted to find out more information, for them to come in and ask?
Yes, definitely they are. Those are definitely avenues. Like we said, we're an open institution, we're an open investor relations team. We're always ready to engage. So outside of the AGMs as well, they can contact us directly through our social media platforms. We've got an email address, which is communications@cec.com.zm. They can write to us. We have various platforms, and we're definitely ready to engage and manage their queries.
Right. Verona, thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you.
All right, to our viewers, thank you so much for paying attention. I've been speaking to Verona from Copperbelt Energy. So for any information regarding dividend claims, you might want to have a look at the caption that will be posted along with the video. I've been your host, Mwelwa Chibesakunda, for this conversation. Stay tuned for more insights as we continue to cover CopServe and Copperbelt Energy. And as we always say at Financial Insight, get to know.